Our second keyword cannibalization case study is to do more with a content site. Now, if you haven't watched the first video and you're an e-commerce store or a property store or a large travel store, basically any website with large categories, check out the first case study because that's probably a better methodology of doing this. If you're a large content site or just any old content site, this is probably the better video for you. The methodology is slightly different, but it also is a very quick and easy way to find cannibalization issues. So this was the case study, a website called Buzzoid, and we noticed as they were going through their site, as we were going through their site, that they quite often had articles that were just repeats of themselves. They never updated their content, they just wrote a new guide. So a good example here is in 2022, they wrote the top 20 most followed Instagram accounts. And then in 2023, they wrote the top 10 most followed Instagram users in 2023. Very similar pieces, and they just basically hadn't updated this one, if that makes sense, which meant they were probably cannibalizing themselves. Quite often when we find one instance of that, we know there's probably a lot of other instances, so we wanted to go away and find all those other instances. So we thought, how can we do that quickly? Well, we started by looking at their sitemap, and we just basically downloaded that. If they don't have an easily accessible sitemap, you could just run their website through a crawler like Screaming Frog or Sitebulb and pull all the URLs that way. But the main thing is we just wanted the URLs for this. So this one contains 765 URLs. The next thing we want to do is turn their URLs into keywords. Now, if you take the logic that the URL is normally targeting the keyword they're trying to go after, we just wanted to surface what that keyword would be. So, we turned the most liked Instagram post into just most liked Instagram post. Basically, we used this formula to get rid of the HTTPS, the colon, and the slashes. It might be worth mentioning at this point, if the URL is really short or they've tried to just make it really basic, this might not work. In which case, still use a crawler like Screaming Frog or Sitebulb. And as you're pulling the URL, you can also pull the page title or the H1, assuming again that the page title or the H1 is something that they're trying to optimize for. That would be a good way of also doing this. And once you've turned your URLs into keywords, either by using the formula and making the URL into a keyword, or as I said, pulling the H1 of the page title, you then want to cluster them. This is what we did here, and you can start to see all the keywords, and remember these are actually URLs, but all the keywords that are grouped together. So we can see top 20 most followed Instagram users and most followed Instagram users, and Instagram algorithm, and how does the Instagram algorithm work. Social media guide, 8 tips for, I think this is getting more Instagram followers and how to get more Instagram followers. So it grouped all the keywords, which are actually the URLs, together, making us able to spot which ones belonged, could be combined very easily. Of course, we wanted to turn this keyword back into a URL. And so we just did a bit of VLOOKUP magic in Excel, and voila, we have all the URLs, all the keywords sent back into the URL so that we could send this to a developer really quickly so that they could work out which ones need to be merged. So just scanning down here, you can see Instagram algorithm. How does the Instagram algorithm work? Why TikTok continues to be popular in 2023, a brief guide to TikTok trends. There was loads more. I think we saw about 50 to 60 articles that could all be combined into one another. So there's 750 odd articles they had. They could actually condense down into 350 odd. Incidentally, we do see this a lot with franchise companies. So if you are a franchise or you're working with a franchise, this is a really good exercise to run on them. This is often because the content strategy isn't centralized in one place. So the Arbor company is a large American senior care home living facility, and each one of their branches is situated, they have their own subfolder. So you've got the main domain, arborcompany.com, and each franchise sits off a subfolder. So Herndon sits off of locations of Virginia Herndon, and then their Kingwood branch sits off of this subfolder here. So what the problem is because the content isn't being centralized, and because each franchise doesn't have their own domain, they all start producing the same content, and it's all sitting on the same domain. So it just cannibalizes themselves. So we've got all of these branches, and there was about 20, I've cut the screenshot short, 20 different branches, all writing a slightly different version of everything you need to know about independent living, 15 things you need to know about independent living, everything you need to know about senior care living. So they ended up just writing the same piece, all cannibalizing each other. And we see this a lot with franchise businesses. In the end, again, we did a massive redirect, and then we implemented a strategy whereby The .com website, the central head office, writes the top level articles, everything you need to know about senior care living, what to do when your parents are getting older, how to take care of your parents are getting older, all those top level stuff. The main domain looks after, and then all of the franchises take care of the content that's more local. Best things to do for old people in Herndon, best things to take your elderly parents to in Kingwood. And that's how their content strategy needed to unfold. And keyword clustering very quickly picked up on that, and we were able to put a plan in place.